So we're getting into prime time jig minnow season. We've learned that the jig minnow is a player all year round and in a lot of different places, even where we thought it wouldn't play, it's playing. But prime time, in my opinion, and I think a lot of guys would agree, is that late fall, winter time when those fish group up. You know, they get out there deep and they get under bait. So the question is what minnow is best for what situation, what size, what jig head. There's a lot of different variations that you can use out there. I mean, just this bag right here. I mean, I'll carry this in my box in my boat. You know, this is kind of the standard, my go-to colors and sizes. These are kind of backups, you know, for different water clarities, water depths. It all kind of has to mix and match, and we're going to go over it. So first of all, the jig heads. These are just Yum Sonar jig heads. 3 basic sizes: an 1/8, 3/16, and a 1/4. Even though those are pretty close, you know, as far as weight sizes, they act in the water a lot differently. And we're going to go over kind of what time I would use each one of those. You can look right here in the box. You know, I have a 3-inch, and I have a 4-inch, and I have a 5-inch. So first of all, we're going to just kind of go over rigging. It's the same for the most part, you know, with the 3 and the 4 and the 5, and then we'll kind of go through different scenarios on when to fish this. So it's pretty simple. I mean, it's basic rigging, but I'm going to show you a couple little things. Let's do the 4-inch. So the key on this is, and you can watch it when you get in real clear water. When I throw that thing and it starts to sink in, I don't want it to spiral. I want it to fall natural. And to make that natural fall, for it to glide down, kind of like the old tube did, you have to have it rigged straight. If you have it crooked, it's going to spiral. So you want to make sure you get that thing dead in the center, just like that right there. And then what I'll do is mark out kind of a spot dead center in the back. And the key is when you're pushing it up, not to get the bait side to side. You want to stay straight so that hook stays right in the middle of that bait. Even though the bait's starting to roll, like I know I have it straight in the plastic. Okay? And I can look right there, I can line it up. That right there is pretty much straight. And what I'll do is take and put just a dab of super glue on there on that collar. And what that does is it gives you just more fish catches. When you get out there and you go to catching them and stuff like that, you know, a dab of super glue will get you 2 or 3 more fish. It'll keep that collar from slipping down. So look there. First of all, it is perfectly straight. Like I have it right there keeled. So this bait is going to fall just like I want it to. But notice how I got just a little much plastic. So what I want to do is just take and tear that just a pinch. Just down like that right there. Okay, so my tail's not riding up. And what I don't want it is if you go too short, I would rather go long, that way I can tear it, than go short. If you go short, what's going to happen is it's going to get down like that and it won't swim right. So you want that thing to lay out there perfectly straight, just like that. That's how I rig it about 80% of the time. Another rigging option, I'm not going to put any glue on this, just in case I want to spin it. So a lot of times, you know, if I'm casting out there, you know, 60, 80, 100 feet, and I'm fishing over the top of them, I want that thing to fall pretty quick because I want to be able to hit the target. But there's a lot of times when those fish start getting up around the boat, especially, you're going and all of a sudden you see them come up off the bottom in like 30 feet and they get there. So a lot of times I'll just make a pitch and let it fall and I'll swim over the top of them. So the way the sonar Minnow is made, it's kind of slender like a shad and flat on one side. So this is the other way that I rig it. I'm gonna go straight in the nose, just like that. And we're gonna rig it sideways. Okay, just like that. I probably could not have gotten that any straighter. All right, and what this does, especially when the water's really, really cold and when it's a little bit dirty, I just feel like it gives them more to look at. Like especially when they're up around the boat, it just gives them more to look at. There's more coverage area there on the bottom, but also you can fish it a lot slower because you have more surface area on the bottom. You can work that thing and it'll really kind of glide and just really almost set in one spot for a really long time. So about 80% of the time, I always have a rod rigged up with both, different sizes, different weights. But if I'm fishing the same size, I'll have two rigged up like that just in case, I got to get around the boat. Or it's really good going over brush and stuff because that flat side on the bottom, it'll kind of deflect a little bit better, but also you can just fish it slower. Whenever you get over that pile, you get up over there, you can just hang it over the top of them. It's hard for them to turn it down. So we're going to go over kind of when to fish it, weights and things like that. So starting with the 1/8 ounce, there's so many different variations that we can use with a 5 and a 4 and a 3. Okay, we have an 1/8 ounce, we have a 3/16, and we have the big boy, the 1/4. That feels like an 1.5 ounces compared to the other two, but it's just a 1/4. So between these three sizes and these three weights, a guy would think, well, the 1/8 is made for the 3-inch and the 3/16 is made for the 4-inch and the 1/4 for the 5. That's not true. All right, I use all three different sizes for all three different weights. So, a lot of the lakes around here that I fish in the wintertime, 10-killer table rock that have just really, really clear visibility. And I mean, these fish can see 8 or 10 foot deep. I don't want the bait going too slow. All right, so my favorite, I'll go to the 3-inch just because the water is so clear. And I use kind of the mid-grade 3/16. That's what I start at when I'm casting at them, 15 to 25 foot deep. It gets down there pretty quick, about 2 foot a second. And then, I'm able to get that bait down there quick before they leave the scope, before they leave live scope. And I'm able to stop it, above them and work it pretty quick. Now, if they start getting up higher, like the sun, at the end of the day, they start floating up a little bit higher, 10 foot or less, then I'll go to the 1/8 with that 3-inch. All right, and what that does is for one, if the water's real clear and they're 10 or 12 foot deep, when that bait hits the water, they know it's there. So I don't want it to get too close to them. I want it to go down, 5 or 6 foot, keep it above them. If they start kind of playing cat and mouse, then I'll let it go a little bit further down there. But I don't want the bait to get too close to them. The more I can make them chase it, the better chances of that fish biting it. All right, so we kind of talked about the 3-inch on the 1/4 with the 3. In the beginning, I didn't use that a lot. But last year was a scenario where the fish got so deep. I mean, really, really, really deep. And I was having a hard time getting down there with the 3/16 on the smaller bait. So it works really good to have this bait down there, this small bait with the big head when they get really deep, because I can get it down there pretty quick, to that 40, 50, 60. What happens is, these fish are just moving. So you're not fishing over the top of a tree or anything like that. I got to get it in front of them and get to them before they move. So a lot of times when they're that deep, I'll go to the quarter and be able to throw that and get it down there to them. So just a 3-inch bait, but I use all 3 sizes of the jig head. Probably the most common, if there was a guy that asked me, said, hey, I want 1 jig head for a 3-inch, it would probably be the 3/16, the best all around. So with the 4-inch, kind of the same thing. All right, but what you have to remember is you're getting more plastic with the bait. So you're going to lose a little bit of speed, which can be good in that really, really cold water. You're going to lose a little bit of speed going to a 4-inch. It doesn't affect it that much shallow, like when you're fishing the floaters, like 10 foot or less. But when you start getting down there 40 to 50, you're going to have to go up in weight. The quarter will get it down there, but it's just so hard to get it down there with the 1/8 before these fish move, before they see it. So pretty much the same thing. The 5 is the one, it's kind of, you got a lot of plastic, all right? The only time I really use a 1/8 with a 5-inch is if these fish are up 6 or 8 foot, from the surface. The water's pretty, I don't want to say muddy or dirty, but just has some color to it. You know that these fish, they need something bigger to be able to see it. But I'll use the 1/8 on that to get it out there. The 1/8 still sinks the 5-inch bait pretty good, but not near as the 3 or 4. So if I need to get down there, 10 to 15, I'll go to the 3/16, which is that one. But typically when I'm using the 5-inch, I'm going to use the quarter. It probably has the same sink rate, the 5 with the quarter, as the 3-inch does with like a 3/16. So I can still get it down there. Getting down there to 40 to 50 can be a little bit difficult. If that fish is swimming and I got to get it down there on his nose before he moves. I mean, a 5-inch bait with a 1/4 ounce, you're looking at 20, 15 seconds for that bait to get down there. So you got to get it down there quick. I said earlier, we got a bag full. I mean, this boat from now until March stays in the boat. I mean, just all different colors, all different sizes. But I operate a lot out of this. I mean, these are the standard ones that I'll start with as far as colors. So, if I'm going to go out, say I go out fishing today, it's really, really clear. Say the water's clear and it's sunny. I want something translucent, like that bait there, you see. I mean, it doesn't show up a lot. You can kind of trick them. It starts getting a little bit cloudy. I'll go to that one there. It's a little bit brighter. They can pick up that color a little bit better. You get the days where it's, the water, you might move up the lake some, or the wind's blowing it. I like the ones, this is the JC Special here. I've probably caught more bass on this color than any other color. It just has a natural look to it, especially on those cloudy days. And when that water's 2 to 3 foot visibility, even though you got to get the bait closer to the fish for him to see it, it's just a confidence color for me. But I think this color here really shines. But going back to the colors on this, it's typical of any other soft plastic. I mean, the clearer the water, the brighter the skies, the more natural you want it to be. The dirtier, you want some color in that bait so they're able to pick it up. So, well, I hope you guys learned something. It's, even though there's a lot of choices, it's still pretty standard with it. But all in all, if I had to pick one, give me the 3-inch with the 3/16, and I'm gonna catch some fish. I appreciate you riding along.